What's happening, family? Listen, this is part two of the video that I dropped earlier today about basically the narcissists just getting started their games when they discard you. Like, I know a lot of y'all thought that while you were in the relationship with the narcissist that they was playing a lot of games and all of that kind of stuff, but I'm here to tell you, like, the games from the standpoint of somebody that did not have the ability to go completely no contact. I can tell you that the games that they were playing in while you were in the relationship, they still kind of wanted you there. They were still on the fence. They were probably still trying to groom new supply and all of that kind of stuff. But when they get to the point of discard, it's literally like the gloves come off. It's all the game plan. So any of you guys that were discarded and you didn't hear back from the narcissist and you just were forced into no contact, man, it's a blessing, man. I'm telling you, take it from somebody that has been there and take it from somebody that I I'm not in a position to just walk away. I have a child with the narcissist, so I couldn't just walk away from the situation. But I just want y'all to imagine the position of a man, you know what I'm saying? Okay, imagine being in this position. Imagine you have a child on the way. The person that you are having this child with, you've known all of your life, or you've at least thought you knew this person all of your life. The moment that you found out that you were going to have a child together, this person's entire personality just flipped just like that. So, like I said, literally the next day after I found out that she was pregnant, she was in discard mode. So imagine thinking you know somebody, trusting somebody, laying down with somebody, making all of these future plans with somebody, and then not even necessarily making any future plans as far as like relationship wise, because that's part of the problem where we were bumping heads at, because I was at the point of wanting more out of life, and she presented that at the very beginning of the relationship. But the more and more and more we got involved into the relationship, I started kind of requiring those things in the relationship. And I think that's when she started kind of pulling away. But she was pulling away, but then also trying to keep me trapped at the same time. So it was like she was pulling herself out of the mix, but then she was trying to lock me in with the baby. So she got pregnant, she locked me in with the baby. Then once she found out that she was pregnant, she ran, pew. And when she got out of there, now, like I said, imagine having to bear the fact that, first of all, this person that you thought you knew and you've known on and off, and y'all been pretty cool for at least the last 10, 12 years of your life. So imagine that person's personality just switching off like a light bulb, and now you don't know who this person is. Like, this person was, I love you, baby, and this, that, and the third, and all, and it was all of that just a day before, like 24 hours to maybe possibly 48 hours before this. And now all of a sudden, their whole demeanor, their whole vibe has changed toward you, and it's nothing that you've done. Like, I actually was trying to be there and be supportive as the co-parent in the situation. I was like, listen, you know, I'm thinking that I'm going to be that type of, you know, partner that's like, oh baby, do you need anything? I'm gonna run to the store for you. I'm thinking that's what's gonna happen. Like, I'm actually planning on, you know, the next 8 months of pregnancy, or you know, I'm actually planning for to be a part of everything, basically. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know how everything was going to actually go, but I was planning on just being a part of everything. And when I realized that she got pregnant and she wasn't planning on having me be a part of none of that, I thought that I was going to be a part of every single aspect of the pregnancy that I could be a part of course, especially with this being my first child and this being her second child. And I thought that it was like, okay, well, this being your first child and all of that kind of stuff, I thought it was just kind of like understood, you know what I'm saying? And I guess that's another place that I went wrong, thinking that it was just understood that, this was supposed to go a lot differently than it did. So, like I said, imagine this person is pregnant now, and now they're not answering the phone for you, they're not doing this, they're not doing that. And actually, like I said, that this person has been giving you all of this time, all of this attention, always on your phone, always texting you, always emailing you, always doing this and doing that, always popping up at your house, all of that kind of stuff. Like any free time that you have, this person is sucking up. And now all of a sudden this person is gone, and they pregnant with your child. Then you're knowing, like I said, my intuition was running high, and I'm like, obviously, if you're not giving me that attention and you're not giving me that time, then you giving it to somebody else. My intuition was already telling me that kind of stuff. So, like I said, what she was trying to do was basically push me into the second place position while she was pregnant with my child. So she ran off, started love bombing the new supply. I'm almost 110% that she was having sex with the new supply. She was having sex and doing her thing with the new supply, all while she wasn't showing. And like I said, now she started, now that she's starting the show, now she has to, yeah, I'm pregnant. Oh, but I think I'm pregnant by the dude before you, but I didn't know, and me and him didn't work out. Whatever she told him to make him stay into that position while she was pregnant. And she basically kept it there, the whole pregnancy. Now, insert the flying monkeys. Like I said, now the games have already started. She's, the discard came, and she would intermittently text me, and it will always be the hot and cold type of thing. Then the flying monkeys came in. And once the flying monkeys started getting involved, it was literally like I was talking to the representative of the narcissist instead of the actual person that I'm having a child with. So I had kind of explained all of that in the previous video, so I'm not going to go through everything. I encourage you guys to go and watch that video if you guys missed anything, because I don't want to repeat everything that I just said in the first video and have y'all watching another 30 minutes of that. So I'm going to kind of pick up in this video on like some of the things I kind of missed in the first video, and then I want to talk about the things that happened pretty much after my son was born, after my son actually made it here on Earth, and the games that she played after that, up until I got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm flat out, like, this over with. I don't want no parts of it. I don't want no parts of you. You know what I'm saying? I'm flat out done completely. So the flying monkeys came in, and basically she was the best friend of the narcissist. And I've known her as well, because like I said, I've known both of them since childhood. I wasn't close with either one of them during childhood, but I knew of them. They knew of me. They know who I am. They know who my family is. I know who their family is, things like that. So I am thinking to the point where I'm like, okay, this person knows who I am. They know that I've never had a problem with them. I've always been a good dude to them. I've always been cool. I've always been, laid back, just me. You know what I'm saying? Just chilling. And so when the flying monkey flipped on me and started acting crazy too, now I'm looking at both of them like, man, where's all this coming from? Like, what's the problem? Where's the drama at? Like, are you upset because you're pregnant? Because it seems to me that you went out of your way to get pregnant. So what you mad at me for being pregnant? You know what I'm saying? Again, I'm not understanding narcissism at the time. I don't understand what I'm going through, what I'm dealing with, and I'm just getting to that point of just seeing that it's toxic and seeing that that's not a good vibe, that's not a good situation, especially to be bringing a child in. And now I'm like looking at the family members, like, because it's crazy. Like, all of my family members were like extremely supportive. They were like, oh my God, Adrian, like, because it was like a running joke in my family that I wasn't going to have children, you know what I'm saying? Because I waited so long in life. Like, I didn't have any up till I was 38 at that time. So I was getting to the point where all my family members was like, oh, he ain't gonna have no kids, you know what I'm saying? Even my mother was like, you know, oh, he ain't gonna give me no grandkids. He, you know, he ain't. And I have always been very focused, but it's not only that. Like, I had my own personal situations that happened, and I'll tell y'all all about all of that, full transparency in my past. But this video, I'm gonna just keep it on what happened with the narcissist in this video. So what ended up happening is, like I said, the flying monkeys popped in. They kept just popping into the situation and like doing her bidding, like actually coming around. They were sending me the text messages about doctor's appointments. And I'm like, why is your best friend texting me about you having a doctor's appointment when, you know what I'm saying? Like, you and I have dealt with each other off and on for the last 10 years. We have always been cool. We have never had, up to that point, we hadn't even had a major argument about anything. Like, we, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was always light. It was always casual and cool. And, you know, it was just always like a friends with benefits type of situation. And she came in and we kicked it, and she would leave and everything seemed cool up until the time that she got pregnant. So now I'm realizing that, okay, obviously it's somebody else in the mix, but I'm still not chasing her. I told her from the very beginning, the very day that she told me, oh, I don't need nobody. I don't need to be with you. I don't need no dudes. I'm just like my mother. When she told me that, I looked at her that day and I said, listen, have I ever chased you? Have I ever chased you at all? She was like, no, but, and this is when I started realizing, like, she wanted me to chase her. She was trying to get me to chase her because now she's pregnant, and now she feels like, okay, now I have the upper hand in the situation because I'm carrying your baby. Okay, so now her tune is, I asked her, I said, well, have I ever chased you? Like, when do we start getting to this point where we start playing games? Because before that, I had never had to chase. Actually, the entire relationship happened at my house, with her always coming to my house. Me never really asking her to come. I never had to ask her to come before. I never had to chase her down before. So it's like, now all of a sudden you pregnant, and now all of a sudden you want me to start chasing you down and trying to figure out what you doing. And nah, I'm not about to play them games. And that's when I'm starting to realize, like, oh, these are games. These are, you know, at first I was thinking, you know, maybe it was hormonal because of the pregnancy thing. Maybe she's nervous about telling her family that she's pregnant again, because that was always also something that she, it seemed like she was trying to always play both sides against each other. So it was kind of like she didn't want her family to know that she was trying to get pregnant. But then once she tried to get pregnant and got pregnant, then she tried. It's like she broke up. It was a weird dynamic with the whole, I guess, probably, and now that I can look back on it, it's probably because there was a lot of complications the first time that she had a child. And this is stuff that I'm finding out about after the fact. But at that time, I'm not knowing anything crazy happened in the first situation, because it seemed like when I came into the situation, it seemed like she was just a single mother with a little boy, and the little boy was about when I first came around. The little boy was maybe 4 or 5. So I didn't think anything of like, okay, maybe she has been single for a while, and that's kind of how she presented herself. Like the last person she was with was his dad. They broke up, and she was single for a while. I did not know about any other of her supply. Now I'm starting to find out that, oh, she done messed with this dude and this dude and this dude and this dude and possibly this girl and this dude, and it was always it was, oh, she got into an argument with somebody at this place because she was messing with this dude, and it was, now all of the stories are starting to come out, but it's after the fact, like after she's pregnant with my son now, and now I'm starting to like hear things from the streets, people starting to whisper, people like, what I'm saying, after they find out that I have her pregnant, now they're like, oh dang, you got her pregnant, like, what I'm saying, and now it's stuff that I never knew beforehand, and now it's starting to like flood out into the streets, like everything dark in the dark gonna come to the light. So that's kind of how it was. It just so happens that it was a little bit too late for me. It was like she was already pregnant, and I had to basically eat that. So, and especially having to eat it with us not communicating while she was pregnant. So it's like she didn't even give me the opportunity to talk to her about, well, maybe this isn't a good idea, or you know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't. It was like literally she got pregnant, and she shot out the door, and now she's love bombing her new supply. So, like I said, imagine being in a position where your child's mother is pregnant with your first child, and now she's already in a relationship while she's pregnant with somebody totally different. You sitting here wondering like, what the hell just happened? Now the whole pregnancy goes past. She's not talking to you, but she got her flying monkeys talking to me. She got her best friends and her family members and all of that talking to me. Now, while she's love bombing her new supply, she's smearing me. She smeared me to her entire family, and basically she was gathering all of the little flying monkeys that was going to like be in place for the final, I guess, discard. You know what I'm saying? So it was like she discarded, but she tried to keep me on the hook. So she would text me every once in a while, and she would try to, it was weird how it was happening, because it was like hot and cold. Like I said, she would go from I hate you to I miss you to I don't ever want to speak to you again to listen, I know we having problems right now, but if you can, you know, call me today and we can talk about stuff with the baby, I think it'll be important, this, that, and the third. So it was just this hot and cold back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, I don't even understand why it's this many complications, because I'm usually a very easygoing, like, happy-go-lucky. I ain't gonna say happy-go-lucky, but I'm usually laid back and easygoing and kind of go with the flow. I say that. I'm usually like, I usually try to go with the flow until I see that it's gonna lead us into somewhere it's just gonna crash. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna let us crash. Like I will, you know, follow suit until I see that the result of this is not gonna be good. And once I see that the result of this is not gonna be good, then I'm like, hold on, listen, before we do that, listen to what I feel like is going to happen and listen. And I was actually like that throughout the relationship with her. So it was like stuff that she was doing, I was catching her before she was doing it. And I was telling her the outcome of it, but I just didn't know that it was narcissism, and I didn't know what it was. So it was like prime example, she would, before she got pregnant, she would sneak over in the middle of the night to my house, and while she had another child, she would leave the other child home with her mother, not tell her mother where she's going, not tell her mother, oh, I'm going to get sex from somebody else or any of that kind of stuff. And I thought that that was kind of weird because of her age and the fact that she was still living at home with her mother anyway, but her age is what really kind of threw me off, because I'm like, listen, you almost 40 years old. Why are you still sneaking and ducking and hiding and doing all of this in front of your mother? Like, at this point, y'all don't have a relationship the way you can just talk to her and say, hey, I'm talking to somebody new. I want to go kick it with him. And can I leave my son with you for a little while? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but instead, she would sneak off in the middle of the night, come do whatever it is that she was doing, run back, go home, try to sneak in the house, and her mother would be like up looking at her like, where the hell you been all night? And she would call me and tell me this, and I'm like, why don't you just tell your mother what's going on? Why don't you? I don't understand what's happening. Like, why don't you just tell her what's happening? Why can't you just tell her that you're involved with somebody, and we at a stage where we kicking it kind of heavy, and like, I don't understand all of the lies and all of the games and stuff. Like, we too grown for this at this point, and that's just kind of where I'm at this stage of the relationship or whatever. So anyway, so time goes on. Now my son comes. I'm gonna get to that point because I know it's already 20 minutes into this video, but now my son is here. And now I think she's starting to see the value of, okay, I need him now. I need him in my life. So I discarded too early, or I shouldn't have. Basically, I think that, if you watch any videos about the narcissist discard and why they discard, they kind of say, they were bored with you, or they got what they want, and they off to the new person, or whatever the case may be. I think mine was a combination of her having what she wanted as far as getting the baby, but then me also catching the fact that I wasn't supposed to catch on to any of the manipulation that fast. And when I started catching on to the manipulation early, like as soon as she started playing games and started kind of pulling away, and I'm like, wait a minute, I ain't never chased you. Like, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? And I started catching on to stuff, and I started calling her out on stuff. And when I started calling her out, like back to back to back, I think it was like the narcissistic injury. I think that's what like really was causing her to be like, okay, nah, I got to get him out of here. You know what I'm saying? Because, so it was like a premature discard, because she knew her family was going to be looking and wondering, like, what the hell, like, where the hell is the baby's father? So, like I said, during that time, that's when she's getting in front of her lies and telling them, oh, but he don't want to be a part of this. He think he better than us. American black dudes, they think they better than Guyanese folks, and all of that. She all kinds of crazy lies that she was telling her family, and I'm like looking at her like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, where's all this coming from? But so time continues. Like I said, my son is here, and now she is back to. There was no apology about any of the stuff that happened during the pregnancy. I still am not sure if she is dealing with somebody else for real, but I'm pretty sure she's dealing with somebody. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure at that point. Like, I'm almost 100% sure at that point. It's like I didn't even ask no questions about it, but it was like she came back into the situation, and now she's been gone the entire pregnancy, so I haven't seen her, I haven't had sex with her, none of that kind of stuff. Now my son is here, and now it's this pressure to have sex. And I'm like, now I'm looking at her like, man, we done been there, done that, got a child behind it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've obviously been there and done it because we have results. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what's the point? You know what I'm saying? You done disappeared the entire pregnancy. Now you want to jump back into the sack, and you know what I'm saying? Now you want to jump back and start having sex again all of a sudden. So I started realizing that was like the first Hoover. She was trying to suck me back into because, okay, when she did the soft discard, when she discarded at the very beginning, but tried to reel me back in, I just was like, nah, you don't play with a child's life. That's my cutoff was you don't play with a child's life. And this is my first child, and you don't play with a child's life like that. And that, you know what I'm saying? I was so hurt at the fact of forget what you did to me. You know what I'm saying? But look at the position that you and your family chose to put this child in. Like y'all are robbing this child of having the experience of having a great father in his life daily because y'all trifling and playing games. Like who y'all trifling, like you know what I'm saying, and playing games. So I was more hurt at that. I was more hurt at the fact that it's people out here that are so heartless that they would do that to a child. You know what I'm saying? Not only not only now I'm realizing that they did it to the first child as well. Like I said, this is her second child. She has another son. So now I'm realizing, wow, so y'all been doing this forever. Like this is just a history of what your family does. Like the and then it's sick and it's absolutely sick that it's mostly women in her family. So now I'm looking at the whole family like and nothing against women, but when you find a family of vipers like this, you could just imagine how much turmoil like I said, the narcissist told me after she broke up with me, after the day after we found out she was pregnant, I'm just like my mother. That should tell you a lot about their family. That should tell you a lot about, you know, and then the fact that she had all of these flying monkeys that was like aunts and cousins and this, that, and the third that seemed very willing participants when everything started to hit the fan. They were like willing to, it wasn't even like they were manipulated into it or nothing like that. They know her. They know who she is. Like she's been doing this for 40 years at this point. So it's like they knew exactly who she was, but they were going to still take her side on it. They were still going to, you know what I'm saying? They were still going to ride with the narcissist in that situation. Like they're going to stick together. It's actually an occult. Like it literally is an occult. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't realize like now it think you start thinking about movies like Get Out and you start realizing like, oh damn, like it's really going down like that out here. Like I guess everything that happens in Hollywood is a form of some type of reality that's going on, and you start to realize it. All of this even makes you think differently about like the Illuminati and all of that kind of stuff. I don't know how many of you guys keep up with all of that kind of stuff, but it's like when you start to see things on a spiritual level, you start to see things a lot differently, even in Hollywood. You hear a lot of stuff and you've heard a lot of stuff all your life, but when you start to go through your own spiritual awakenings, you start to realize nothing is what it seems. Like nothing that you ever thought in your life it was what it seemed like it was. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, time, like I said, now my son is here. So now it's like, now she's trying to pressure me back into having sex with her. Like, you know, can we do it? Can we do it? Can we, you know, I just need to have sex with you. And I'm like, why? Like, you know what I'm saying? You ain't need to have sex with me the whole time you was pregnant. You didn't need to have sex, you know, and that's like I said, I'm starting to realize that, okay, she had already been grooming her new victim, but she was trying to suck me into second place. And I realized that one day she came to my house and she purposely started an argument. Now this is after my son is born. And so, okay, when my son was born, she played the parental alienation game for like a month. So I didn't see my son. I saw my son the very first day that he was born. I was at the hospital when he was born. I spent the night at the hospital with her and my son, my newborn, and her family. The next day, when my son was released, he was released straight to her house, and I actually went there, even though all of this drama and all of this negativity and all of this craziness was going on between her and her family and me and all of this kind of stuff. I still was like, I want to be there for my son, even though like I had, and I at this time I didn't even know how bad I had been smeared. Like I could kind of see it because I'm seeing her cousins and I'm seeing her family members, her brother and everybody that used to be cool with me. They starting to treat me real funny, and I'm like, where's that coming from? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, we've been cool this whole time, so where's that coming from at this point? And that's when I started to realize. I said, I actually told her, I said, listen, I've never done anything to these people at all. Because I'm always like coming from a logical standpoint. So I'm thinking like, I've never done anything to these people at all. So the only thing that they could have against me is something that you said to them. So what lies have you told? So when I started putting her on the spot, like, what lies have you gone back and told me? And she go, I haven't said nothing about you. I ain't tell nobody nothing. No, I didn't do that. No, I didn't tell them nothing. They just coming up with their own opinion. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, nah, mm-mm. Nobody comes up with an opinion as specific as, oh, you think you're better than us. Like nobody comes up with that type of opinion. Like you think as a American black guy, you think you're better than Guyanese people. Nobody comes up with something that specific unless you actually said that to them. Like you must have went back and told them that I said something like that. And that ain't nowhere in my character at all. Anybody that knows me knows I love jerk chicken, knows I love curry chicken, knows I love reggae music, knows I love that culture. Like all just I love different cultures. You know what I'm saying? I love a little bit from all of the cultures. I think that we make the world as beautiful as it is together, like as a mix. I don't think that any of us would like it here if none of the others were here. Like, I honestly believe that it's a collective effort to make humanity better if all of us play our part. But that's just my feelings on that. I don't have a racist or prejudiced bone in my body when it comes down to that. I love people. I love good people. I love genuine hearted people. And I can't really stress that enough. But so now she's trying to get me to have sex with her. Like she's trying to get me, and so now, like I said, the games have ramped up. So one day, I'm weak, and this is still my child's mother, even though I'm still having the thoughts of like, okay, she probably been sleeping with somebody else. It is what it is. So we do it. We end up having sex one day, and then after having sex, then it was like the devalue again. It was kind of like, well, it was better before we had AJ, before we had our son. Now, this is literally like a day or so after, like she didn't even wait as far as like the time where they were saying that you have to wait to not have sex and all of that kind of stuff. So my response is like, listen, you know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody tell you to pop out a baby with a head this big. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, hey, you trying to blame me for your mishaps? Like, listen, that ain't my problem. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, you chose to have this baby. You knew what that baby was gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Like, and at this stage of the game, like you've been playing all these games throughout the pregnancy and all of that kind of stuff. Now I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm fed up with her nonsense at this point. So I'm just like giving her same energy back. Like we trading energy for energy at this point. Like she is, coming at me certain types of ways, and I'm like right back. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's kind of crazy because that's when I started realizing like you can't really devalue a super empath, and that's what I think a lot of people don't understand. It's like people carry the term, and I don't even like to really put labels on things like that, but I did find who I was in this mess, like in this nonsense of going through narcissistic abuse. And I started realizing how I was handling things was exactly as everything that I've learned about super empaths since I learned about narcissism. Um, I've I didn't chase. Like she wanted me to chase her, and I just wouldn't chase. Um, and it was more of a like I ain't even gonna say necessarily a pride thing that I didn't chase. It was more so like not for what? Like we too grown for this. Like we're we're two grown adults that should be able to move differently than what you're displaying right now. So, um, and then not only didn't I chase, I wouldn't budge. Like I wouldn't back down. I wouldn't bend when they tried to bully me, when they really tried to like, because they big bullies, like, and then when you have a whole family like attacking you like vipers, like everywhere you go, somebody in the family is like making a sly gesture at you, or somebody else is like one of the brothers or the uncles. Like one of the cousins came at me one day, and you know they got the real heavy accent, and he's trying to scare me, but he's trying to scare me by talking about his criminal charges. So he's like, "Yeah, dog." Um, he was telling me about getting arrested, and somebody saying that he got arrested for something that he actually didn't do. And when he looked at me and he was like, "I never been arrested for none of that stuff, man. The only arrest I ever been arrested for is firearm after firearm after firearm." You know what I'm saying? So you got like real heavy, like Jamaican type of, you know what I'm saying, like accent. And then he's like telling me that basically he into gunplay. That's basically how I took it. He's basically trying to let me know that he he's like the enforcer of the family, and he play with he likes gunplay. You know what I'm saying? And anybody that's from the street, that's anybody from the streets know what that mean. Anybody y'all know what that mean. That you know when somebody kind of like let you know that that's how they move and that's what they on and that's how they play. Y'all know what that mean. You know what I'm saying? So basically, it's like an intimidation tactic that her family was using all at the same time. And I didn't realize that that's what was happening, but it was like a mixing bowl of it. It was like the her little cousins was, you know, they were real standoffish to me. The aunts were like rolling their eyes at me and smacking their teeth at me, and you know what I'm saying. The brothers were, you know, trying to heat check me, like walking up on me, you know, like talking to me crazy, saying little crazy stuff. And the whole time I'm looking at all of them, like I'm really trying to hold my composure, and I'm really trying to, because that's the thing about a super empath. We know who we are. We've been broken, and we've been through so many different things in life, to where, um, number one, we're not going to respond to everything right away, and we not. And most of the time, we're in very good control of our anger, because that's something that we've had to bury our entire lives. Like, and I try to tell people this all the time, that most passive people are passive for a reason, and they're passive because they're extremely afraid of their aggressive side. You know what I'm saying? Like I was extremely afraid of my aggressive side as a child because of all the hurt and the pain and all of that kind of stuff. I felt like, you know, as a child, I was always afraid of um, my pain and my anger getting the best of me and landing me in a situation like life in jail or something like that. I was always afraid of that kind of stuff. So I played defense, and I learned to be real mellow and real like I said, I'm real go with the flow. I'm real passive and just real, not necessarily like I said passive, but like just go with the flow. I'm just like real chill and just like listen. I just want to vibe. I just want to live. I don't want no problems. I just want my respect. I'm gonna give you your respect. It is what it is. Like, and I always tried to live my life like that, not knowing that there was people out here that just they don't care nothing about you wanting to live in peace. They want war. You know what I'm saying? And now that I understand spiritual warfare, now I can see why. Because we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities. So it's like these people damn near not even human no more. You know what I'm saying? These people damn near not even humans. So, like I said, she kept trying to get me to stay into the relationship, but she came at me one day and she's like, now this is, right after like she had started an argument out of nowhere, and then she's like, "Hey, listen, we can still be friends." I'm looking at her and I'm like, "We just had a child together. Our child is not even a month and a half old yet, and you telling me that we can be friends? Like, we got a child together, and you have reduced me from here all the way to, oh, we can just be friends." So now I know it's somebody else in the mix. So now I know, like, and then it was, she started playing all these games as far as like, she would tell me that she was in some type of support group, and she would ask them about relationships, and she then came to me, and whatever they said in that group, she came to me telling me, "Oh, well, they were saying that we not even in a real relationship." And I'm like, "How can we be in a real relationship when you playing these type of games? How can we? Like, what? Where does real relationship, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, where does that come up in any of the games that you play? You know what I'm saying? So you trying to flip it back on me, and you trying to use this little support group to act like I'm the problem in the situation when I've been here the whole time. I've been trying to be a part of my child's life the entire time. I've been trying to be a part of your life the entire time. I'm not going to chase you to do that. I'm not going to, um, you know, lose my dignity as a human being first and as a man second. Like, I'm not going to lose that because you want to play childish games. Like, come on, man, we too grown for that. I'm not going to do that. So if you want to play your games, salute to the family. I'm going to holler at y'all after AJ is born. Once he's born, then I deal with y'all. You know what I'm saying? And then I'll deal with y'all accordingly as well. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, because every little thing she kept trying, it just wasn't working. It wasn't working. So this wasn't working. She was trying to send her flying monkeys at me, and that wasn't working. Um, and even when it did work, it didn't work, I guess, as effectively as they thought it was. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if, like, it didn't have the effect, I guess, that they really were looking for. They were really trying to hurt me in a lot of ways. And so, again, these are the games that they were playing after uh, the discard. So now, my son is born. They've been playing games the whole pregnancy. Now, after my son is born, and I've pieced together that it's obviously somebody else in the mix. One day, she was purposefully, I can tell she was purposely trying to not let me see my son. It was probably about 3 weeks that went past, and I hadn't seen my son. And so I was texting her, and I'm like, "Listen, are you planning on letting me see my son at any point? Like, what's going on?" You know what I'm saying? It's been 3 weeks. We got a newborn child, and you know, are you, I don't want to start like acting ignorant. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to come over there and have to kick your mother door in or something like that because y'all holding my son away from me and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, listen, let's do everything peacefully. We've been doing everything peacefully. I don't want to start, like, listen, I just want to see my child at this point. You can keep playing all the games that you want to play. I just want to see my son. So she's she's like, she's playing this game of, oh, well, I had something to do today. I can't bring him. And then another day, she actually tries to come over, have sex with me after my son is born. She tries to come over and have sex, but didn't bring my son. And now and it's during a time where I felt like it was kind of like uh, a double slap. So I felt like it was like she wanted to cheat on the new supply and try to keep me on the hook, but it was also a rub in the face to me of like, well, I'm going to use our child to make sure that you give me sex whenever I want it, and you won't see him unless you give me the sex. So it seemed like she was trying to use me not seeing my child to keep that control over me to where I would keep having sex with her. You know what I'm saying? And I guess to try to keep me on the hook. But once I caught on to what was going on, I'm like, nah. So she's not letting me see my son. It's 3 weeks then passed, 4 weeks, almost a month then passed, and now I'm like, I've been texting her this whole time trying to see my son. She's been coming up with this excuse and that excuse and this excuse and that excuse. And like I said, it's been a month now. So I call her, and this is back to the games that they play. I call her, and I can tell she put me on speakerphone. So she puts me on speakerphone, and she's like, I can tell she has somebody in the car with her, obviously. Like, and you can tell that she's trying to show off in front of him because she keeps saying my name and all of the, like, she's in the middle of talking to me, and I'm like, so you just gonna keep playing games? And this is like what I call, like, when she picks up the phone, and you got to think about, she's been playing games over the text message for like a month now. So now I finally talked to her on the phone. I haven't talked to her in over a month. I actually talked to her. So now I talked to her, and I'm like, so you just gonna keep playing games, right? Now, she obviously has somebody else in the car with her. So she's like, I don't know what you're talking about, Adrian. And I'm like, okay, obviously you're trying to broadcast to whoever it is in the car that you're talking to me. So it's like, so now I'm like, so who you trying to show off for? And she's like, look, if you got something to say, then, and I was like, I done texted to you for the last 30 days. Like, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Go check your text messages. So I felt like she kept saying my name in the conversation, like, yeah, whatever, Adrian. Yeah, whatever, Adrian. Yeah, I'll talk to you later, Adrian. And she kept doing that, and it was like, it got to the point where I saw that she was really trying to rub it in my face. And not only rub it in my face, she was trying to make it seem to that other person that I was the problem. Whoever it was in the car, she was trying to make it seem like I was the problem in the situation. And I caught on to that, and I was just like, look, go check your text message. You know what I'm saying? So I immediately cut that off because I saw her playing games, and I saw obviously there's somebody in the car with her, and she wants me to, make a fool of myself over the phone and cuss her out and rah, beat on my chest, and she want me to, go King Kong on her. And when I do that, she can say, see how he act? See, I told y'all he was this, or see, I told you he was that. And she basically wanted to, and I'm pretty sure it was the new supply. Like, she don't go nowhere. When I was with her, she didn't go nowhere without me. You know what I'm saying? So when all they doing is recycling new people and doing the same stuff over and over and over again. So you can only imagine she going everywhere with, you know what I'm saying, the new supply the same way she was with me. You know what I'm saying? So now, when I cut that off, and I'm like, listen, I'm not gonna play your little games. Right then and there, I sent her a text, and I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I'm gonna tell y'all exactly what I sent her. I said, listen, I don't know what type of games y'all are playing, or you. I said, I don't know what type of games you playing, but you can go and chase all the dick that you need to. That's exactly what I said. Because at that point, I'm like, what other reason would somebody that you just had a child with, you don't have no beef with them? And I'm not saying that I'm the best thing smoking or none of that kind of stuff, but I have my own home. I have a job. I'm cool as 10 fans. I had, you know what I'm saying? I'm a community activist here in the Washington, D.C. area. I have a clothing line. Like, I have a lot of things that were, that most women would want to stick it out there and, you know, at least see where it's going to go and see where it's, you know, I have a promising future type of thing. So it's kind of like, um, it came out of nowhere and it was a shock because it's like, you really that, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have a child with somebody that, number one, wants to be there, which is very rare in this day and time. Number two, is an excellent father, and you knew that. That's probably the reason why you targeted me to be the father of your child. Number three is an extremely hard worker. Number four has a lot of other intangible things going for him, you know what I'm saying, for himself. And like I said, this isn't to toot my own horn, but it's literally like when she was trying to devalue me, I knew my worth. I knew what I had to bring. I knew what I brought to the table. You know what I'm saying? And that's why the devaluation didn't work with me. And I know any of you guys that can kind of stamp that. It's like any of you guys that, most of you guys are probably super empathic. You probably are super empaths that when you know your value, you can't really be devalued. You know what I'm saying? Like, they can try it, but every time she tried it, I'm like, shorty, I know my worth. Like, and I'm waving her off and like, man, whatever. Because I'm like, you childish. You know what I'm saying? Like, you petty and you childish. Like, you don't even believe your lies. That's how I'm like, I'm literally talking to her like, you don't even believe your lies. Like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? You and I both know better than that. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. Like, so every time she would, and then it's like, if she would say something that was true, it's like, yeah, that, you know what I'm saying? I can own up to that. Like, super empaths can also own up to their mistakes. We know who we are to the point where I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses, and I'm not afraid to admit to my weaknesses at all. You know what I'm saying? That's actually one of my strengths, is being able to admit to my weaknesses. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the things that narcissists don't get about empaths. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of our a lot of our strengths come from having to deal with our weaknesses in ways where we were in survival mode too. You know what I'm saying? And we had to figure out a way to survive with those weaknesses all our lives. You know what I'm saying? And we figured out a way to do it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's no slight to the empath. Like, they say that, oh yeah, we weak and we're this and that. Nah, you know what I'm saying? Like, not at all. You know what I'm saying? We just have empathy. We have a heart. We care about people. We care about life. We care about humanity. We care about, you know, things outside of ourselves. And I would much rather be somebody that got hurt caring about people than somebody that could never care about a person at all. You know what I'm saying? I would much rather get hurt knowing that I have feelings and I know that I care about people and I know I have compassion than to be a zombie. You know what I'm saying? A monster, like somebody that can do anything, even to children, rape children, you know, sexually assault children, and you know, lie to children, and all of that kind of stuff. Like, I would much rather be a person that, you know, that had empathy And if you call us weak because we care about people, then so be it. But you know what I'm saying? I think it's me personally, I think it's a tremendous strength to go through everything that y'all have been through, and just like myself, um, everything that I've been through, and still be able to walk around with a smile on my face, even if it's a struggle to put it on sometimes. And it's not wearing a mask, it's genuinely that's the person that you are. You know what I'm saying? At heart, like, you might still have bad days, and you might even be going through bad days yourself, but your energy is so positive that, like, you walk into a store and you raise the energy of the people. Like I said, when I go anywhere, y'all, like, I promise y'all, if y'all walk into a store with me, if y'all walk into a restaurant with me, it's always been kind of weird because I don't like a lot of attention. I am, I've always been kind of like the center of attention without demanding any attention, you know what I'm saying, at all. Like, I'm very quiet. I usually try to stay in the back of the room somewhere, but people always tend to like gravitate towards me, you know what I'm saying? And I notice, like, when I'm out and about in public and I walk into like just I could go to 7-Eleven and just, you know, like the cashiers and stuff like that, they instantly like light up, hey man, what's good? You know what I'm saying? Hey, what's my man? What's good? I'm giving them pounds and all of that kind of stuff because that's just my energy. I'm just, you know what I'm saying? I just feel like life is hard enough. Why make somebody else's day hard if I don't have to? And if I can make somebody else's day good just by smiling at them, or just by like giving them a pound, and my man, like, you know what I'm saying? I see you later, man. Salute them, just, you know what I'm saying? Just like I do with the family here, like, man, hey, salute, sir, man. I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm very respectful when I'm in the streets and all of that kind of stuff. So it's like when I am just mixing and mingling with my folks, it's like they love me. You know what I'm saying? And it's not, like I said, it's because I give love. You know what I'm saying? I give off the energy of positivity and love. I'm always trying to show that I'm in a good mood, even when I'm not. Like, it's times where I'm not in a good mood, but you will never know that. You know what I'm saying? You would never be able to see that I'm not in a good mood at all. You know what I'm saying? Because I kind of pride myself on, you know, just taking things on the chin, and not only like taking things on the chin and just not making my problem somebody else's problems. So, um, so yeah. Anyway, so